Hey guys, Bump here, bringing you another Dragonflight pre-patch video. Today we're taking a look at Unholy DK and specifically the Rot King 2.0 Mythic Plus build. You might have seen my previous video that talked about this kind of build. The thing is that in the pre-patch, the power level has just gone up significantly here. This build is all about leveraging your dots to deal the majority of your damage, and it is really strong. I think there are like multiple different ways you can build this specific one. We're going to talk about the Night Fae version, but I think generally there's a lot of choices in the talent tree you can make, and you can pick up some different legendaries, that kind of thing, and still retain like the core aspect of this build and kind of augment it to however you want to do it. As you can see, I haven't been playing the pre-patch that much because my add-ons are a bit off, and sometimes I need to change the UI. Anyway, let's talk about what makes this build so powerful. So up here you have the talent tree, and there's a couple of spells that interact very strongly together that increase our dot damage significantly. Most importantly, we have Plaguebringer and Ebon Fever. Those two talents together will make Virulent Plague hit like an absolute truck, right? Ebon Fever makes it tick twice as fast and deal significantly more damage, and then you get another 100% tick rate of Plaguebringer, and that just means at the end of the run, Virulent Plague is going to be your top damage ability by quite a significant margin. Yeah. In addition to that, we also run the Andun Ring. You can see it up here. So that means that your dots have a chance to deal extra damage, and that chance is really quite high when the mobs are above 70% health. It realistically has a lot of uptime, and this is another piece of the puzzle which increases your damage significantly. Like just picking up that ring is a huge damage increase, and it's kind of required to really run this build like you want, like at the full power level. If you don't have it, other builds are going to be like similar power level in a sense. I'm running the version of the build that runs Night Fae, which means that I also get quite a lot of damage from my defiles, and then I combine that with Death Stew and just spam Death Call, which means that I've got permanent uptime on defile, and my Death Call deals an insane amount of damage. I'm not sure if this is necessarily like the best version of the build. Like, I think you could also run, for instance, Monstrosity as your legendary and not rely that heavily on very short Death Stew windows. Right. For a talent build, let's bring it up again. Let's talk about what we can change here and augment to specific situations, right? This specific version is kind of built for me to only press Death Call as my reading power spend. As you can see, I haven't even picked up Epidemic, and that works well. Like Death Call with like Death Certainty, improved Death Call, you got Call of Devastation, there's so many things buffing it, and then it cleaves as well, means that it deals more damage than Epidemic, up to like, 7-8 targets. However, if you're running something like Gambit, right, where we're going to have like several pools with 15 targets, Epidemic will probably be better. Right, I'm trying to change my talent test, but it doesn't work when you're in a Mythic Plus dungeon. I think it should tell you earlier. Anyway, so I definitely think picking up Epidemic is a viable choice. And you can get rid of maybe Call of Devastation in that sense, right? So you can kind of funnel the damage away from Death Call into Epidemic if you want to. You might also notice that I don't have Apocalypse here, which is an interesting aspect, and I actually think that's the correct choice, right? Apocalypse doesn't fit into the rotation here. We simply don't spend we don't spend any GCDs building up runes on the targets, right? So there's really no space to press Apocalypse. So what you do, just don't pick it. I think, yeah, quite an interesting one there. Other choices, we pick up Gargle. I think this is a great one because this build is centered heavily around spending lots of runic power. So Gargle becomes like your short cooldown single target burst CD. It kind of fulfills the same role as Apocalypse, but it's off the GCD, it gives you runic power, and it synergizes really well with this build, so I just think it's a very good pick. I'm also picking up Armor Dam just to get really short armor cooldowns. I'm spamming Death Call here, so I'm going to get really short effective armies, which is great in middle class because it means that you can do more priority damage more often. In the class trade, there's not much to move around with here. In this specific run, I'm not actually picking up what's it called, the Death and Decay Slow, but I think 100% that is the choice. Defile is down 100% of the time, and just slowing the targets by between 90 and 10% constantly is a huge benefit because it helps your tank kite. It helps like your ads be grouped up. Just really good. So my mistake here. I should have picked it up, but I didn't. Other than that, you can do like some I don't know, minor things, minor changes if you want some more utility. Remember, generally though, conduits and talents don't stack. So if a conduit gives the same effect as a talent, like the one which gives Lichborn a damage decrease taken, it doesn't work together. You can't pick them both up at the same time. Cool. All right, that was a lot of chat about the talents. When it comes to the Covenant itself, you can see my build up here. As I just said, this build actually picks up Hardened Bones, which wouldn't work because I accidentally picked it up in Talent Tree. Just bear that in mind. Lingering Plague is like the priority conduit to pick up because it increases your dot damage again, and that's what everything we focus on. Other than that, like the other pieces we pick up, we're doing ground here to increase our defile damage. And then the final one, I do pick up Embrace Staff to further do a ton of difficult damage. That's also a choice you need to figure out. So if you're planning to press Epidemic more often, maybe that isn't the best pick, and you want to pick something like Eternal Hunger. However, Eternal Hunger is a bit bugged at the moment, so it's not as powerful as it seems. It's a bit tricky one. Not 100% sure what I would pick if I didn't pick Embrace Staff. Cool. Other gear, like for trinkets, I definitely go Scars of Eternal Strife. Such a powerful trinket, really, really good to have. It just gives you so much stats overall. And if you time it well, like the amount of damage you get from the explosions is significant. There you go. Here's a big negative aspect of this build. It's impossible to see anything on the ground because the Defile with Death Stew just, it blacks out everything. You see, I've gotten hit by multiple mechanics already. It's really awful, and it's one of the reasons why this isn't like such a great build to run. But what can you do? Like, it's not our fault to make the ability so obnoxious on the ground. You see that? You can barely see the AoE from the big dude. Sorry. Anyway, we do Dreamweaver because we get the extra haste, and currently that's bugged, so we get the haste every time we press Skirt Strike when we send out FNK. That's obviously not intended, but I'm not sure they're ever going to fix it, so we just run Dreamweaver because of it. Sorry, we're talking about trinkets. So Scars, and then I think the second best is going to be Decanter. It's just a passive trinket. This whole build is around having a good passive damage all the time. Decanter gives you just that, so awesome one. When it comes to picking your like stats, I would go heavily to Mastering Crit, and then Haste and then Versatility is down at the bottom. And I generally pick Crit from the affix to boost up your overall AoE damage. You know, dots don't scale with haste, so I think haste is a bit undervalued generally with this build specifically. Cool. I hope that was everything we need to talk about the build itself. Now, yeah, sorry. Also pick up Gavel. It's great, does ton damage, but it doesn't specifically work well with this build, but still do it anyway. Let's talk about the rotations. What are your priorities here? I think there's like two primary ones. First of all, keep up your dots 100% of the time. Your Virulent Play is going to be a shorter one, so just make sure when that starts to drop down, reapply it using either Outbreak or Unholy Blight. Second priority, make sure to press Skirt Strike to keep up Playbringer. This is very high up there, so just ignore anything else you would otherwise press and press that Skirt Strike to get 100% uptime on Playbringer. You can see I'm tracking it up here. That little, yeah, you can see the icon. You should ideally have 100% uptime on that. It's a very large priority. So, okay, so outside of pressing Skirt Strike to keep up the Plaguebringer and using things to keep up the dots, what else do you do? Well, this version with Night Fae, you're going to press pop down Defile on cooldown, essentially. So whenever the last one runs out, you pop down another one. It's pretty the same. You press Defile so much that Defile cooldown is shorter than its duration. And we also have Depth's Echo, so it gives us a bit more room. Just pump it out, pop it down all the time. Other than that, we're going to press Death Cult, like, as our next high priority. Just spend our runing power, it deals a ton of damage. If you run Epidemic, you will use Epidemic whenever you do like a big pull. When there's like 10 plus targets, so you'll press Epidemic instead. And other than that, you press your cooldowns when they come up and you go for it. This whole business of building runes and things, you can essentially ignore it. In AoE, it's better to just spam Skirt Strike to cleave. You sometimes will press Festering Strike, actually. I did press it a couple times this dungeon, and it's primarily for single target. So single target, do you want to build Festering Runes and burst them? But in AoE, you just ignore it. Imagine you don't have that ability. Just, press your 3 buttons, which will be Skirt Strike, Death Call, and Defile. That's it. Right, we're on the boss here. This is like quite mundane. We'll make sure we have 100% uptime on middle of the play, as you can see there. We do actually run our wound rotation. We press down Defile whenever it comes up. Make sure, oh, come on. I'm paying too much attention to reordering my damage window there. You should have 100% uptime on the Death Stew buffer. Like, there's no excuse to not have that up because it's such a short CD. Cool, so that's your priority. Let's talk a little bit, how does your open actually look like when you go into a pack? So first button is going to do either Outbreak or Unholy Blight. Apply your dots, right? What I then like to do is pop down my Defile on top of the pack as I run to it, right? You're going to be a bit far behind, so you pop down your dots as you run in, and then you Defile. So then as you run into a melee, you do the first Skirt Strike. That's going to give you full stacks on the strength buff, and it's going to start with Plaguebringer, right? So that's the 3 abilities. So Outbreak, Unholy Blight, into Defile, and then into Skirt Strike. After this point, just time to start spamming Death Call, and then every 3 or 4 TCDs you press Skirt Strike, and then if you don't have any ring power, you just press Skirt Strike to cleave, right? And then you reapply your dots, you use your Defile as the other one runs out, and then you see your damage being ridiculously high. We're about to do a big pull here, so it's going to be a good kind of example of what we can do. Oh, nearly died there. I'm going to have my scars ready. You can see my weak aura, so I'm going to press that because I know we're about to pull, and I want to use it a little bit beforehand so that the explosion goes off in the pack. And I think I actually managed to time this nicely. All right. Go in there, we use our army here, we use Dark Transformation, downward Defile, and then let's go Strike, right? And then we're going to use Death Calls. And then we use our other cooldowns to just time it all. First Defile's running out, we prop down the next one, yeah? Lots of Skirt Strike cleaving, lots of Death Calls, and there we go, 160k DPS. Not too bad, not too shabby, right? All that damage comes from your disease, right? There we go. Yeah, quite happy with that one. Also, I got a nice gavel proc there, so that did a ton of damage, to be fair. All right, another pull. There we go. Popped it on. Use Outbreak. Pop down Defile, Skirt Strike, and then go into Death Call spam and Skirt Strike. And this is so incredibly consistent. Oh, I hate this pack. There is no way you can see the ground AoE with your Defile down. Anyway, I didn't really have any cooldowns here. I had my Dark Transformation, Blight maybe. Still did 80k. It's just insanely strong, this build. It's so good. Alright, next pack, we're making sure we use lots of Skirt Strike to keep up our Plaguebringer buff. Lots of Death Calls. You can see our dots running out, so reapply it with Outbreak. Keep down, popping down that Deafening K, or Defile, or Death Stew, whatever you want to say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm having so much fun playing this build. It's so different compared to like the regular kind of rune gameplay of Unholy. So it's kind of a fresh breath of air. I know this was also a thing in season 4, right? I even had a video about it, but now it's actually properly powerful. Oh, I love it. You can see I did it better here with Dark Transformation. It should really come after your first like Scourge Strike. So you go in, Outbreak, Defile, Scourge Strike, and then Dark Transformation, because you really want to get that Plybringer up and running, because it's going to increase your damage by double, right? So you don't want to delay it. There's an argument to make that you kind of, I've been thinking about doing Outbreak, Scourge Strike into Defile, but I think that's worse, because doing Defile first both deals a ton of damage, because Defile hits like a truck, and you get that instantaneous, what's it called? 4-stack the strength. So I think actually it is best to do Outbreak, Defile, Scourge Strike. Alright, we're doing quite well here. We are now on the second boss. We're definitely going to time this. And I think overall I'm going to reach something like 40k DPS. This later part of the dungeon, like the first part is where you get all your damage from. And then this next part is like, you know, just doing bosses really. We can see here I'm making some mistakes that I'm keeping 2 stacks of Defile. That should never happen, right? You should always have it on cooldown. But it's also good to have 2 stacks, because you see there. Popped it down, boss mood, I can pop down another one. Alright, we've got army up and running. Gonna press it soon, I think. Interesting aspect now is that army doesn't synergize that heavily where other cooldowns. Like obviously it's good to use it with some stuff like Empower Rune Weapon, but Defile, Unholy Blight doesn't really synergize with it. Dark Transformation doesn't synergize with it, so it's much easier to use. You just press it and then it does its thing. That's true for this build, but with other builds it's very different. Like if you have Command of the Dead, you know, the thing that buffs all your pets when you Dark Transformation, it's very different. This build though, you can kind of just press army and just let it run. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's still useful kind of single target burst ability. Alright, we keep going, keep up our dot. We're going to use a lot of naked Scourge Strikes in this build. Like when you do Scourge Strike without having wounds on the target, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, God. I'm happy this key wasn't higher, because I was standing in so much ground effects I would have died. I also haven't played in a while, so I'm feeling really rusty here. I'm gonna blame that. So yeah. It doesn't help that your Defile is like the most obnoxious ability ever. Cool. The rest of the videos is going to be some commentary on my gameplay, so nothing else related to the build itself. I'm thinking if I can time. Oh, here we go. I've gotten this weird bug. So first of all, quaking is not great, but I can teleport altogether. That can happen. Also, have you also gotten the dungeon journal randomly showing up for you? Like it happens to me all the time. That is just, you know, brings up dungeon journal and I have to close it down. It's an odd bug. I don't understand it. Who knows? Alright. In my head now, I'm kind of thinking, right, I got my scars. I want to time it to the next pack. And I think this one is going to be a banger. I just want to make sure, like when my tank shows up, I think I'm going to pop it, because I know then we're kind of going to engage the pack soon-ish. Is he here? Yes. Alright, so I pop my scars. Plan is to get it to blow up on the pack. Let's see. It picks up the infiltrator. We go in. Alright, use our normal rotation. Make sure our gavel is down. Always use your gavel and cooldowns to get as much value as possible from it. And then we have the explosion coming up here. I'm at 60k DPS, and it bumps me up to 90k. Like the explosion deals a significant amount of damage. If it crits, it's like 50k on each target. So it's really strong. So if you can time it, it's definitely worthwhile to kind of, you know, think ahead, try and use it so that it blows up in the pack itself. Obviously, you lose some uptime on the stats, but you know the explosion deals so much damage, you kind of don't care about that aspect. All right, I popped down my gargle here. You can see it's actually Dark Arbiter. If you want to have the same kind of skin, you can go off to the Acrus. Use your Death Gate, go to Acrus, you can talk to an NPC there, and they will change the appearance for you. That's how that works. Oh yeah, I was so confused this run, I remember, because I was like, why isn't my Death Gate working? And I've forgotten to bind it. This is like my second dungeon. This kind of shows you how powerful this build. Like I've run with it 2 dungeons and already hitting 40k, which is really nice, I think. Alright, we're gonna kill this guy and then we're gonna engage the boss, I think. Maybe this guy on the other one. When he spawns a little pulsar, we're just gonna dot that up. I hope. Next one is gonna dot it. So I think, like, your Brilliant Plague should be hitting every 0.75 seconds, like with both the Plaguebringer and Ebon Fever. And it hits, like, it crits for, I think it's 6k-ish on every single target. That's why this is powerful, right? It's several thousand DPS on every target. So if you have pool like 20, that's a lot of dot damage coming in. Cool, we're gonna kill this off. We're gonna engage the boss. You can see I have my army up and running here. I might actually commit it. Yeah, there we go. I'm thinking that maybe I'm able to have a second one. In hindsight, though, probably should have saved that. We'll tank the boss in this corner to make the assassin spawn on him. Oh, I tried to grip it again, and I fail. Now we're doing our normal single target rotation, making sure we pop down the file ASAP when it runs out. There we go, being a bit sloppy with Plaguebringer there, I say. I still have a lot to learn. I think I could have significantly more Plaguebringer uptime. I think I average around 75 to 80% uptime, and you should definitely go into 90% if you do it properly, I think. So, something to think about. I think the first thing I should do is put that Recor a bit closer to my character so I can see it like more centrally, so I don't just have it in my peripheral vision. We can see like this build, it's not only AoE, it's like a properly good single target build. You can actually do this like in raid. It's a great raiding build because your dots simply deal so much damage. Yeah, it's a fun one. If I didn't do it in raid, I would probably change it around a little bit. Like, probably pick up Apocalypse. I don't know, actually. Would we pick up Apocalypse? I don't know. Right, we got all our cooldowns running here. Yeah, not all done. We did do our Gargle. Whenever you pop on Gargle, right, you want to focus on spending as much runic power as possible to buff it up as much as you can. I think this build is also quite resistant to downtime. Like if you have to run out, obviously you want to make sure Plaguebringer buff is up. That's like the one reason you need to be in melee. But other than that, all the damage comes from dots and death calls, which can both work at range. Alright, let's see. Apply your... You can see there, I let my plague drop, which is not good. Just a couple of seconds there is a huge loss in DPS. Alright, I should not have used Dark Transformation there, I can tell you that much. When the boss is in the middle, is Almeen, right? So, really don't want to use our cooldowns at that point. Alright, boss is about to die. What's going to happen next? We're going to take a look at the damage breakdown, have a bit of chat about that one, and then the video is going to be over. I hope you guys like this build as much as I do. It's so much fun. It's a bit degenerate to some degree, but oh, I love it. I feel like a proper dot spec playing this one. Oh, there we go. We did get our second army. Obviously didn't get full duration, but still a little bit. So, oh well. There you go. All right, let's see. Let's bring up the damage breakdown and take a look at it. You can see Brilliant Plague, 13 million, 25% of my overall DPS. And then you got Defile, Death Call, and then Frost Fever. Like, look at that. So, diseases, Blood Plague is going to come a little bit further, but that's like 40% of your damage-ish. Right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed it, if you're going to try it out yourself. Alright, if you don't have the Anduin ring, go farm some dinos. I'll kill Anduin many times to get it, because it is so important to get it. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me an upvote, downvote to me what you thought about this video. Do consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.